Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. Last week we talked about how you can support your teen if they are dealing with a pregnancy. This week I'm going to talk about the choices that teens have in terms of how they want to proceed with their pregnancy. Now, this conversation can get controversial. Some people have very deeply held beliefs around this subject, and I am one of them. I always say to folks, own your values, and I need to do the same. So you should know that I am staunchly pro-choice. I believe that people have a right to choose what happens to their bodies, and I believe that people have a right to decide whether or not they want to give birth. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 pregnancy options: parenting, adoption, and abortion. Now, I always list those options either in alphabetical order or, in this case, reverse alphabetical order, because I don't feel that any one of those choices is inherently or universally better than another. It's whatever is going to work for your teen, their body, and their lives. So first, let's talk about the option to parent, which would be if your teen chooses to give birth and then raise the child themselves. Last week, we talked about teen pregnancy and stigma, but there can be just as much or sometimes more stigma around teen parenting. And as I said last week, again, stigmatizing, judging, shaming, criticizing teenagers for raising children is not helpful. Teen parents and their kids are going to fare much better if they have the support of their friends, their families, and the community. Now, being a younger parent has some specific challenges, but that doesn't mean that it can't be done well. There are many wonderful, loving, devoted teen parents out there. If your teen is thinking about parenting, here are some things to consider. First, the commitment is lifelong. Parenting is the ultimate ride or die relationship, and it isn't one that you can just walk away from without there being some pretty serious consequences. Something else to think about is how your teen is going to balance parenting with school and or work. Like other parents, teens and their children need access to resources. They need a place to live. They need food. They need clothing. Babies will need diapers and a safe place to sleep, like a crib. There's also childcare and medical care, and teen parents need money to pay for all of it. If your teen's partner or co-parent is involved and they aren't living together, then they may have to figure out custody arrangements and or child support. There are organizations that provide support for young parents so that they can raise their children successfully, and I will leave links to a few of those in the description box below. Now let's talk about adoption. In adoption, your teen will give birth and then place the baby with another family who will raise them. In North America, most adoptions are facilitated through either a lawyer or an adoption agency, and it's usually done at no cost to the birth parent. If your teen is considering adoption, the lawyer or the agency will have them look at profiles of potential parents. The agency or the lawyer can arrange a meeting between your teen and the family so that they can get to know one another, and from there your teen will choose the family that they believe will give the baby the best possible life. There are 2 types of adoptions. In an open adoption, your teen will stay in touch with the adoptive family and get updates on the child through letters and pictures, and they may even negotiate occasional visits or meeting with the child. In a closed adoption, your teen won't have any contact with the adoptive family or with their baby. There are also adoption registries where your teen can leave their name and other identifying information so that when the baby is of age, they can look up information about their biological family and even get in touch if they so choose. Even once your teen has chosen an adoptive family, they're actually under no obligation until a few days after they've given birth. In most places in North America, a birth parent can consent to allowing the adoptive parents to take the baby home from the hospital. However, they can't actually legally relinquish their parental rights for a few days. And even after they've given up their parental rights, they usually have a period of a few days to a few weeks where they can ask to have those parental rights reinstated. But after that grace period has passed, their parental rights are permanently terminated. Finally, let's talk about abortion. Abortion is terminating or ending a pregnancy by removing the fetus or the embryo from the uterus. There are 2 types of abortions. There's medical abortion and there's surgical abortion. Medical abortion happens in 3 stages. The first stage happens in a doctor's office where your teen will be given either pills or a shot to stop the pregnancy. A few days later, they will have to take a second round of medication at home that causes the uterus to shed all of its contents. The third stage will happen back at the doctor's office, where your teen will get an ultrasound to ensure that the pregnancy was indeed stopped and that the fetus or embryo is gone from the uterus. A medical abortion has to be done very early in the pregnancy, typically 7 weeks from the date of the last period or 5 weeks from the date of conception. It's not always an option for teens because many of them don't realize that they're pregnant that soon after conceiving. Surgical abortions are performed at medical clinics or in doctor's office. First, your teen is given a local anesthetic to numb the cervix, and then the cervix is dilated. Then the clinician takes a special wand with suction, it's a bit like a vacuum, and sucks the contents out of the uterus. They may also use an instrument called a curette to scrape any remaining material out of the uterus to make sure that it's empty. The procedure usually takes between 5 and 10 minutes. Afterwards, patients are generally welcome to rest in the doctor's office or at the clinic for as long as they need to, and they can go home the same day. The physical recovery from an abortion is usually fairly quick. Most people find that they can get up and resume most of their normal activities within a day or so, and that physically they are completely back to normal within 2 weeks. Surgical abortions are usually performed within 12 to 14 weeks from the date of the last period, but in some cases they can be performed up to 20 weeks. In Canada, there are no legal restrictions on who can have an abortion. However, each province has slightly different regulations around how far into a pregnancy an abortion is available. In the States, there are regulations on who can have an abortion and how far into a pregnancy an abortion is possible, and it varies from state to state. I want to talk a little bit about health risks. Now, the majority of people, including teens, have relatively healthy pregnancies and safe births. Abortions performed by professionals are amongst the safest medical procedures we currently have. However, there can be health risks, some serious, associated with pregnancy, birth, and abortion. So I'm going to leave links to some information and statistics for you down in the description box. Next week, I'll share some strategies that you can use as a parent to help your teen reduce their risk of an unintended pregnancy in the first place. Until then, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.